Welcome, people. Is he really narcissistic? That's today's question, and that's today's topic, and it was suggested and recommended by an ally. And it was inspired from the show Love and Marriage in Huntsville. Now, I do not personally watch the show, so you will see me look over in my computer several times as I have several notes that I took from the conversation that I broke down. And I will basically be giving you my observations on that conversation. And I will also discuss how to leave a toxic situation or relationship safely. So let's jump right into it. Now, the conversation starts with the lady named Mel. Okay, so Mel approaches her ex. Again, this is her ex. His name is Martell. She wants to speak to him about his behavior at the restaurant. She does what I say is the L in the GLAD procedure. Remember last week I talked to you about being disrespectful. If you remember, you know that the L is leading conversations with specifics. If you didn't get a chance to watch the video, I will link it in this video, so you can go back and watch it if you want to. Now, she leads the conversations with her conversation to him with specific things. She says 3 things that she wants. She wants to talk about boundaries, respect, and what that looks like for them. Okay. Now, she tells him in a very calm and open and controlled manner. Her demeanor is open. Okay. She's calm. She's not raising her voice. She's not yelling. She's not screaming. She's not in his face. She's not clapping her hands at him. None of that. She's very open and she's very calm as she's speaking to him about what she sees is a problem with his behavior and how he approached her in this restaurant. Now, he in turn tells her that nothing was wrong with his behavior. In essence, he uses the manipulation tactic that I told you all about in the Recognize Him series called gaslighting. That's what he does to her because she's telling him that his behavior was out of line. And it was. I will also link that clip to that video in the description below if you want to watch it for yourself. Now, again, he's flipping the script on her. He's saying that, hey, you know what? I'm not going to even admit that I was out of line. I'm just going to tell you what I see is the problem with your behavior. And he tells her about things that she did on social media that he did not like. Okay? Now, in this particular instance, he's taking the conversation off topic. Remember, I told you need to keep conversations focused on specific outcomes. So this shows me that this is a red flag because he then goes on to ask her where she's going to be. He does not need to know where she's going to be. He is not her spouse any longer. This is her ex-husband. It's not his business where she's going to be. Now, at this particular restaurant where they were, she was on a date and he was in a business meeting. I repeat, a business meeting, which he stopped to go and see and speak to her about what she's doing as a single woman on a date. Red flag. That's not his business. He's out of line, just as she said. Now, he goes on to use the manipulation tactic of love bombing. Now, I tell you this because his response is, he states his behavior does not matter. It doesn't matter. That's what he's telling her about his behavior at the restaurant. So in one breath, he's supposed to be a businessman, but in the next breath, he doesn't admit that his behavior is childish, which it was. It's childish if you see your ex and you go approach them and ask them what they're doing, this, that, and the third. You're not with them. They don't owe you an explanation to explain to you why they're out and who they're out with and what they're doing. You need to keep it pushing and mind your business. So, again, this is showing a problem, a red flag, an unseen warning. Why? Because it's showing that he is arrogant. He's arrogant and he feels entitled to demand and dictate an explanation from her, which again, he does not deserve and he is not entitled to. They are not together. So he then continues to love bomb her because he responds to her. He'd rather do it in her face than on social media. Again, he shouldn't be tracking her movements like that on social media. They're not together. Yes, it may be your ex. You may even have children with your ex. But just because y'all have a past together does not mean that you need to follow them and keep up with their every move on social media. So again, my question is this. Why crash her date and why track her on social media? Because he then tells her he does not want to be with her. So you don't want to be with me, but you tracking what I do and say on social media, and you took it upon yourself to come and crash my date, but you don't want me. Okay, so now we continue because he tells her he would only be with her for his children. But remember, he just told her in the previous breath he didn't want her. So now he's using another manipulation tactic, breadcrumbing. We also talked about breadcrumbing in the Recognize Him series. So he further says, why are we discussing stuff like this? He's taking the conversation off track. He's gaslighting her. See, again, manipulation all through this conversation. That's what I'm picking up on. He further shows her a video that he took of her in the restaurant with her date. Again, you just told this woman you don't want her, but you took a video of her and her date? Why? Way out of line, disrespectful, childish, just as she's telling him that it is. And he tells her, why did you do that? Why did you take this dude to our favorite restaurant? So he's questioning her choices as a single woman, which again, he does not have the right to do. They are not together. So what this indicates to me is clearly a toxic and dangerous relationship. Because number one, as I've said many times, this is her ex. And he's still acting as though she owes him an explanation, and she does not. Number two, this is not their restaurant. They are not together, but he used the word our. This shows he feels that he has ownership over her and where she go and what she does. He's being possessive. Number three, he insists she should do better. Again, he has no business trying to demand who she should date. He is not her father. And even if he was at this stage in the game, she's grown. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions on who she wants to date. Number four, he gets upset as she's defending herself and holding her position, telling him that he was out of line. So this shows me that he's emotionally unstable. Number five, he walks away when she brings up his infidelity in their marriage. So again, he's showing a disregard for her and how she feels and how she sees things. He does not want her to hold him accountable for his actions. Yet he's trying to hold her to a standard he has no right to assert. Number six, she also tells him that recording them was disrespectful. And when she asks why he was disrespectful, his response is because he wanted to be disrespectful. He wanted to disrespect her. So this is a major red flag and an unseen warning. Because I told you, anybody who disrespects you, they do not love you. They do not care for you. That is a major red flag. And number seven, she informs him that she's not his woman anymore. To which he stands there looking at her crazy, using the manipulation tactic of silence. So again, this is a very dangerous and toxic individual. This type of behavior shows that this person is willing to do as they please because they feel entitled to do as they please. They feel entitled to treat you as though you're their child and that they can publicly disrespect you, and they can't, or at least you should not allow them to. So what I would say to this is that this is not her first time dealing with this with him. Typically when people showcase this type of behavior, they have already done so, and they've done it in a private way, in a private setting. So quite often you most likely have missed the little tests, and those little tests matter. If you fail them, they'll keep pushing the limits. So the question on the floor, is he narcissistic? Let's break down what that means. Mayo Clinic defines it as this. Narcissistic personality disorder is one of several types of personality disorders. It is a mental condition in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance. a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence lies a fragile self esteem that is vulnerable to the slightest criticism. So, my assessment, I can't tell you whether or not he personally is narcissistic. What I can tell you is that if you label every man as narcissistic, you're overlooking a simple truth. He's disrespectful, just as this man states. Personally, I am not qualified to diagnose narcissism. It's a personality disorder. And I'm here to tell you, everybody that you meet, they are not narcissistic. Being disrespectful is a choice. Being selfish is a choice. People get to choose whether or not they are respectful or disrespectful. People get to choose whether or not they are selfish or unselfish. And being either of those or even both of those does not necessarily make a person narcissistic. Now, for those of you who are in dangerous or toxic relationships and you need to get away, here are the 10 things that I highly recommend that you include in your exit strategy. Number 1, if you have a confidant, somebody that you truly trust, that you know that is there for you, that will support you, I would say number 1, you need to tell them when you're going to leave. That way they know to be on the lookout for you and to sound the alarm in case something goes wrong with your exit. Number 2, gather your belongings when he is away. Don't do it while he's there. Do it when he's gone. That way you can have them in a place that's hidden until it's safe for you to leave. Number 3, know where you are going. That way when you get there, that way as you are making your preparations to go, that takes one less component out of your exit strategy that would stress you out. Whether it be a shelter, a friends, a relative, wherever it is, know where you are going and have that number memorized if possible. Number 4, do not have any contact with anyone that he knows, none of his friends, and none of you all's mutual friends. Number 5, if you have any money, you need to make sure that your spouse cannot track your money. Don't let your money be accessible to him or by him, because he could drain your account and he also can use your spending patterns wherever that is to locate where you are, and you don't want that. Number 6, you need to pack all important information and sentimental items if you can. That way there's no need for you to go back for anything and you can start over without having to reorder any documents that you may need. Number 7, do not leave a trail by phone or internet search. So you know that when you search for things on the internet, it leaves trails. Okay, you can go into your history and see everything that you search for unless you have your internet set up to where it automatically deletes everything you search for. You do not want him to be able to access where you search that you're going. So make sure that you delete that. Anything that you search for that could give him clues to where you may be going. Same thing with the phone calls. If you're not sure if you can keep your phone calls private and away from him, make sure that you also delete the call logs or maybe use somebody else's phone or a pay phone or a public phone. Number 8, have a safe word. Make it something simple. That way, whoever your confidant is, they can know when you're in trouble. If they hear you use that word, they'll know that you're in trouble and they'll know the next step to take for you to help keep you safe. Number 9, if things do go wrong with your exit plan, have an idea of what you're going to do instead. You know, they say plan for the best and be prepared for the worst. In this instance, if things go wrong, what would you do? Have another plan in mind. And lastly, if you cannot wait, if you just need to leave right away, then know where the nearest shelter or help center is and go there. And as always, know this. Relationships, we cannot avoid them. But we can label or feel someone is narcissistic. However, the fact is, more likely than not, the person is simply disrespectful and or selfish because they feel entitled to be. And being disrespectful or selfish does not make a person narcissistic. As always, I'm Coach Sam telling you, 24 hours doesn't seem long, but in 24 hours, you could change your life. So go ahead and do something life-changing now.